So there are so many ways to skip the airport security lines that nowadays. There's TSA PreCheck, Clear, Global Entry, but which one is best for you and how can you get it for free? And that's what we're going to tackle right now. I'm going to start with TSA PreCheck. Now, TSA PreCheck costs $78 and it's good for 5 years. And this is where you can get expedited airport security. So you see those long lines. There's often a TSA PreCheck line next to it. This is when you can leave your laptop in your bag, jackets and shoes stay on, although everyone can leave the shoes on now. Kids 12 and under can go through with their parent. Kids 13 and over need their own membership or need to be traveling on the same reservation as a parent, and it has to be clear that it says pre-check on their boarding pass as well. So that is the most basic option of the three. Katie, why don't you tell us a little bit more about global entry?
Yeah, so often confused with TSA PreCheck, global entry is the expedited customs and immigration process when you are coming back to the US after an international trip. And this membership is also good for 5 years. It costs $120, so it's a little more expensive, but you do get TSA PreCheck with global entry. So if you travel internationally, even just like one time a year, global entry is probably worth it. Now, kids, regardless of age, need their own global entry membership. You have a 6-week-old baby, that baby needs a global entry membership. So keep that in mind. And the other caveat with the global entry, it can be a little bit harder to get that in person interview. Because for both TSA PreCheck and global entry, you have to apply and then go through an interview process. No, it's a pretty simple process. They ask you a couple questions, it's done. But in my experience, depending on where you live, it can be harder to find a global entry place where you can do an interview. So, for example, when I applied, and I live in Columbus, Ohio, when I applied, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago for global entry for the first time, I had to drive up to like a place outside of Cleveland, and it was 2 hours away. Um, when my husband renewed and I got global entry for my daughter, there was a place about an hour away. Um, if you live at a big airport, you might be able to just go to the airport for your interview. Or if you are flying into a large airport, a lot of airports now have an interview upon arrival process. So you can, if you've already submitted your application and been conditionally approved, you can do the final interview process as you're coming in from a trip. I would definitely recommend doing that only if you have a long layover or if that's your final stop. So just keep that in mind. It's still 100% worth it in my opinion. So don't let that in-person interview intimidate you at all.
Yeah, that's that interview upon arrival. That's what me and my
Mhm.
family, we've all done that. I think my original one was I did in New York on a long layover, but all the other ones, both kids and my wife have done it landing either in Miami or New York, wherever we're connecting through, and it's been a very easy process. And like you said, if you're already conditionally approved, they're just making sure that everything is lining up there. So those two we covered pre-check and global entry. Pre-check is for leaving, going into airport security, and global entry is coming back. There's also clear, and that's a little bit confusing because clear is kind of like pre-check, but just like fancier and more expensive. It allows you to cut to the front of the security line, including in front of pre-check. So if you've ever been anywhere with a long pre-check line in Orlando, for example, you can go into the clear line and skip that, which is nice. And another nice thing is that kids under 18 are free. They don't need their own membership if they just go with the parent. That's really nice. Now, this is the program that uses biometrics, so you don't need to show your ID to the agent, which should expedite things a little bit faster. Some people may not like that. Some people don't care, but you should be aware of it. But it's not as widely available as TSA PreCheck. Um, but I have it. I got it as a credit from one of my credit cards, got it for free from one of my credit cards. I like it, especially when I'm flying through Orlando where it's just chaotic.
Yeah, and Clear can be used without TSA PreCheck too. So you do not have to have TSA PreCheck to use Clear. I mean, it makes more sense, but if you don't have PreCheck, you can still get Clear, and then you just move to the head of the regular security line. You still then have to take off your light jacket, take your laptop out, but it does save some time. And what I've found with Clear is they have it at my airport in Columbus, which just seems just wildly ridiculous to me because there's never a security line for pre-check. So like in that instance, it rarely makes sense. But when it saves you time, like at an airport like Orlando, it saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
Often it's just kind of a nice to have, but it can be really valuable.
Yeah.
So so like I said, Clear can work with or without TSA PreCheck. So how do all three of these, Global Entry, TSA PreCheck, and Clear, work together? A lot of times people say, which one is the best? Well, they're all a little different and they can work together. So the best combo, in my opinion, is Global Entry plus Clear. And that is for anyone who travels internationally. You are going to get TSA PreCheck with Global Entry, so then you will have all three programs and you will get through security as fast as humanly possible. You can get credits for Global Entry and Clear, both of those, through the Amex Platinum card and the Amex Business Platinum card. There are plenty of cards that also have the Global Entry TSA PreCheck credit, but the Amex Platinum and the Amex Business Platinum are the ones that have both of those credits. So if that's a combination that sounds interesting to you, take a peek at those Amex Platinum cards because that will really save you a lot of money. Like I said, Clear is a nice to have. I personally would not pay full price for it. If you live at one of those busy airports, if you're at a hub where the TSA PreCheck line is always really long, it might make sense to pay for it. We're going to show you in a little bit some ways to get Clear and PreCheck and Global Entry for a discount or for free. But it's one of those things, I wouldn't pay for it, but I get it free through my credit card. And it is really nice to have sometimes because it can really save some time. And it just makes the whole process so much smoother, which makes your whole travel day just a happier day.
Exactly. No one likes getting stuck at security when you could be in the lounge.
No, I know. Exactly.